Hi and welcome back to Ready to Ride, and welcome to a hip control exercise session. If you aren't already aware, having good hip control is pretty essential for being able to ride and effectively apply the leg aids. This is because if you don't have good hip control, and by that I mean the ability to move your leg from the hip, which is your joint up in here, whilst keeping your body and your pelvis still, if you don't have that ability, every time you move your leg to apply an aid, you will shift and compensate through your body. So that then means that your seat, the pressure through your seat will change from one side to the other. You might find that you collapse more easily through your shoulders, through one side of your body, or you might even twist. Sometimes it might also affect the position of your upper body, so you might tip forwards, you might tip backwards. It can also have an impact on what your head is up to. All of those are fairly fundamental when it comes to what your horse is then going to do in response. So even if you're only riding at a very basic level, having good hip control, having good differential hip control is very fundamental. That said, as you're moving up the levels with flat work and with jumping, you want to have a really good refined ability to move your leg, so you can really refine your ability to apply the leg aids, and hopefully then we can all look like Charlotte Dujardin and Carl Hester. But again, you can only do that if you've got really good hip control. So it doesn't matter what level you're riding at, hip control is really important. So whatever level you're working at, start improving hip control, and hopefully your ability to apply the aids and maintain a good posture at the same time will follow through. These exercises are unfortunately all lying down, but they're all really effective. They're quite hard, so don't come into this session if you are new to this. Hopefully you can build up a little bit before you come to this one. Make sure that you've done at least one of the warm-up sessions before you get started, and now you can start to join in. So we're going to start off on your side, and we're going to do the level 3 version of the clam to get started with. And you need to have your bottom leg straight and your top leg bent with your knee tucked in behind your foot. Your foot tucked in behind your knee even. And then you need to have your mouse hole open underneath your side, pelvic floor onto floor 3, and your top hand resting onto your top headlight. If you find that your balance isn't great, you can rest with your top hand on the mat in front of you, but you'll get more feedback about what your pelvis and hip are doing if your hand is on your top headlight. With this exercise, it's also really important to not allow your knee to rest on the mat in front of you just because that you feel that's where it should be. You want your knee to rest wherever it goes whilst keeping your top headlight pointing straight ahead. So you don't compromise pelvic stability and pelvic position for the sake of comfort around your knee. And I'm different on both sides. Many of you will find that you're different on both sides as well. So each side that you do this exercise, you reappraise where you need to start before you get going. So for me, my knee is a little way off the mat. That's absolutely fine. So it's mouse hole, pelvic floor, and nice neutral headlight. And then open and close the top knee just like you would if you were doing the normal clam exercise with your knees both bent. And you will definitely find this is quite a bit harder because having a straight lower leg really destabilises you. So your core stabilisers are having to work as well as your glutes. And so that not only you're giving a sort of resistance exercise, but it's really working on that differentiation of pelvic stability with hip mobility. It's a great exercise to do, but you may well find that you can't actually do that many before you start to get really tired or before you start to really wobble all over the place. I'm already starting to wobble. Mind you, I've already taught 2 Pilates classes this morning, so I'm probably getting a little bit tired. So the next exercise, you're going to pop your legs straight, and I definitely suggest for this one that you start with your top hand resting on the mat in front of you for some balance. Mouse hole open again, pelvic floor onto floor 3, and you're going to float your top leg not particularly far, and then you're going to do 5 circles behind you, and then 5 circles forwards. Then rest the leg back down again. Check mouse hole, check pelvic floor, float the leg, and then you're going to do your 5 circles going backwards. And then 5 circles going forwards. Now there are a couple of things to watch with this. One is that you end up rocking backwards and forwards, and obviously that defeats the whole purpose of this exercise, which is all about hip control. So keeping your pelvis still while the leg is moving. A couple of other things that people often do as a cheat is the foot starts to do the moving, or the knee starts to do the moving, get a soggy knee. So really make sure that the whole leg is really nice and strong and still, and you are moving only from the hip. If you find that you don't need to have your hand on the mat for balance, then that's great. Then you can put it onto that top headlight again and you get that little bit of extra feedback. Once again, this may be an exercise particularly to begin with that you don't want to do too many reps of, because if you start to fatigue with this, then you're going to start really wobbling all over the place, and there's no point, you're not going to be achieving anything then. So you want to be doing maybe a few reps, but really good quality. The one thing I will say with that exercise is you don't need to worry about the shape of the circle particularly, it's more about the fact that the leg is on the move. Then we're going to turn onto your back next, and we're going to do the same exercise but on your back, starting off from a fairly typical position with feet and knees hip width apart, and that nice neutral pelvis position. Pelvic floor onto floor 3, you might want to rest your hands onto your headlights for a little bit of feedback. Then you bring one leg up into your tabletop position, then straighten it away. And then from there you do exactly that same sort of movement, so your 5 circles each way, once again keeping the knee and the foot really still so that you move purely from the hip. So again, into tabletop, then straighten away, and then you do your 5 circles each way, hopefully keeping your knee and foot really still. You may have noticed I'm dreadful at counting. Well, certainly I'm dreadful at counting when I'm trying to talk at the same time. This is also one of the wine glass exercises, so the leg that isn't moving, you want to keep it really, really still. And again, in this position, I don't worry too much if the circles aren't totally circular. It's more the fact that you're getting some degree of movement. If you're a much more advanced Pilates person or a much more advanced rider, competitive rider, then maybe focusing on the quality of your circles is a good way to go. I'm now going to add in something slightly harder to the equation. It's going to be really tricky for me because my garden is not totally flat, but I'm going to use a spiky ball for a little bit of postural feedback. So you really want to find somewhere neutral on your tummy that it will stay. Hopefully mine will stay there. Okay, and then you do the same exercise again. So neutral position and into your circles. And you may have guessed that the feedback that you're getting from the spiky ball is that if you start to rock, the spiky ball will roll off to the side. Like so. Like I said, I'm not on a flat garden, so it's not the easiest. I can try that leg one more time, see if I can keep that spiky ball in position. Okay, I'm going to take the spiky ball off. I'm going to change sides as well. One thing that I will say with the spiky ball is quite often you will find that it always falls off to the same side, doesn't matter what exercise you're doing, because I use these a lot. You will find it falls off to the same side, and that's quite often a dead giveaway that you are weaker on one side, or it gives you really good insight into which is your weakest side, which you are least stable on. So it's a really useful tool, but I wouldn't use it if you are new to any of the Pilates exercises because it is just too much for your brain to try and take on. So now you turn onto the side that you haven't already been onto, and we'll start off with the clam in the level 3 position again. So it's that knee bent, foot tucked in behind your lower leg, mouse hole open, pelvic floor onto floor 3. Once again, top headlight pointing straight ahead, and again that knee just sinking down to wherever it feels natural whilst keeping that top headlight pointing straight ahead. Okay, so off you go again, same as you did on the other side, opening and closing, really just going within what you feel you can control. And that really is important with this one, because if you start to feel out of control, then you will start to rock through your body, and then again you have completely lost the whole purpose of doing that exercise, which is all about hip control. So your glutes are really powerful hip moving muscles, but there's no point in trying to work them if actually you're just rocking backwards and forwards through your body, because then you're not using those muscles and you're not getting the hip control benefit to this exercise. Keep checking the mouse hole the whole way through, and keep checking that your pelvic floor is staying onto floor 3. Okay, so like I said before, don't necessarily try and do hundreds of this exercise. Straighten that leg, check your back in your mouse hole open position, pelvic floor onto floor 3. Once again, to start off with this next exercise, keep your top hand on the mat in front of you so you've got balance while you get going. And again, you're going to float that leg, and then you're going to do your 5 circles going backwards, and then 5 circles going forwards, and then rest back down. Check mouse hole, pelvic floor, and then off you go again. And again, like I said on the other side, if you feel that you're doing okay with your balance, take that top hand away and then see if you can get a little bit more feedback and make sure that you're not rocking through your pelvis. Once again, make sure that you stay strong and straight through the knee and through the foot, and then we don't get any soggy knees, soggy ankles, soggy toes, because again then you're going to lose that nice hip control element to the exercise. Okay, so that's probably enough. One of the key things with this is to not try and make the movements too big. It's also important to not try and, particularly on the side exercises, take the leg too far up, because all you'll find then is you're making movements so big that you can't possibly keep the control around your pelvis. So make them small, make them subtle. You can always make them bigger if you feel you want to as you get stronger, but keep them small and it's much more achievable. And after all, when you're riding, your leg aids are usually fairly small movements. You don't need to be taking your leg all over the place, and probably that's the last thing you want to be doing. So train yourself to do the sorts of control, the sorts of movements that you would be doing on your horse. I hope that you've found those useful and relatively easy to do. Get your spiky ball out if you feel confident to do so, because it does make a real difference to the feedback that you get from the exercise in a way that you can't get just by using your hands onto your headlight. There will be lots more exercises that I do in other sessions where we use the spiky balls a lot more for that same sort of feedback. If you haven't already, then subscribe to this channel and you'll get all these videos coming through when they're published, and also check out the Ready to Ride blog for any more background information. There'll be lots of photos on there as well as some of the still positions from some of these exercises if that is helpful for you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again very soon.